Hi all, I'm Pushp Sirohi and back with one more amazing topic of Hindu mythology named dhyana and samadhi. Let's enjoy the lecture. We have taken a cursory view of the different steps in Râja-Yoga, except the finer ones, the training and concentration, which is the goal to which Râja-Yoga will lead us. We see as a human being that all our knowledge, which is called rational, is referred to consciousness. My consciousness of this table and of your presence makes me know that the table and you are here. At the same time, there is a great part of my existence of which I am not conscious. All the different organ inside the body, the different part of the brain, nobody is conscious of these. When I eat food, I do it consciously. When I assimilate it, I do it unconsciously. When the food is manufactured into blood, it is done unconsciously. When out of the blood all the different part of my body are strengthened, it is done unconsciously, and yet it is I who am doing all this. There cannot be 20 people in this one body. How do I know that I do it and nobody else? It may be asked that my business is only eating and assimilating the food, and the strengthening the body by the food is done for me by somebody else. It cannot be, because it can be demonstrated that almost every action of which we are now unconscious can be brought up to the plane of consciousness. The heart is beating apparently without our control. None of us here can control the heart. It does go its own way. But by practice, man can bring even the heart under control until it will just beat it well, slowly or quickly, or almost stop. Nearly every part of the body can be brought under control. What does this shows? The function which are beneath consciousness are also performed by us. Only we are doing it unconsciously. We have then two planes in which the human mind works. First, the conscious plane, in which all the work is always accompanied with the feeling of egoism. Next comes to the unconscious plane, where all work is accompanied by the feelings of egoism. That the part of mind which is unaccompanied with the feeling of egoism is unconscious work, and the part which is accompanied with the feeling of egoism is conscious work. In the lower animals, this unconscious work is called instinct. In higher animals, in the highest of all animals, man, what is called conscious work prevails. But it does not end here. There is still a higher plane upon which the mind can work. It can go beyond consciousness. Just a conscious work is beneath consciousness. So there is another work which is above consciousness, and which also is not accompanied with the feeling of egoism. The feeling of egoism is only on the middle plane. When the mind is above or below that line, there is no feeling of I. And yet, the mind works when the mind goes beyond the line of self consciousness. It is called samadhi or super consciousness. How? For instance, how do know that the man in samadhi has not done or gone below consciousness, has not degenerated instead of going higher? In both cases, the work are accompanied with egoism. The answer is by the effects, by the results of the work. We know that which is below, that which is above. When a man goes into deep sleep, he enters a plane beneath consciousness. He works the body all the time, he breathes, he moves the body, perhaps in his sleep, without any accompanying feeling of ego, he is unconscious. And when he returns from the sleep, he is the same man who went into it. The sum total of the knowledge which he had more before he went into the sleep remained the same. It does not increase at all. No enlightenment comes, but when a man goes into samadhi, if he goes into a fool, he comes out a sage. What makes the difference? From one stage, a man comes out from a very same man that he went in. And from another state, the man comes out enlightened. A sage, a prophet, a saint, his whole career, character changed, his life changed, illuminate. There are two effects, now the effects being different. The cause must be different as the illumination with which a man comes back from samadhi is much higher than we got from unconsciousness. or must higher than can be got by reasoning in a conscious state. It must therefore be superconsciousness, and samadhi is called the superconscious state. This, in short, is the idea of samadhi. What is it? Application. The application is here the field of reason or of the conscious working of the mind is narrow, the limited. There is a little circle within which human reason must move. It cannot go beyond. Every attempt to go beyond is impossible. Yet it is beyond this circle of a reason that there lies all the humanity holds most dear. All these cautions, whether there is an immortal soul, whether there is a God, whether there is any supreme intelligence guided this universe or not, are beyond the field of reason. Reason can never answer these questions. What does reason say? It says, I am agnostic. I do not know either here or now. Yet these questions are so important to us. Without a proper answer to them, human life will be purposeless. All our ethical theories, all our moral attitudes, all that is good and great in human nature have been molded upon answers that have come from beyond the circle. It is very important, therefore, that we should have answer to these questions. If life is only a short play, if the universe is only a fortuitous combination of atoms, then why should I do good to another? Why should there be a mercy, justice, or fellow feeling? The best thing for this world would be to make hay while the sun shines, each man for himself. If there is no hope, why should I love my brother and not cut his throat? If there is nothing beyond, if there is no freedom, but only regress deals, dead laws, I should only try to make myself happy here, and you will find people saying nowadays that they have utilitarians grounds as the basis of morality. What is this basis? Procuring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest numbers? Why should I do this? Why should I not produce the greatest happiness to the greatest number? If that serves my purpose, how will utilitarians answer this question? How do you know what is right or what is wrong? I am impelled by my desire for happiness and I fulfill it. And it is in my nature, I know nothing beyond. I have these desires and must fulfill them. Why should you complain? Whence come all these truths about human life, about mortality, about the immortal soul, about God, about love and sympathy, about being good, and above all, about being unselfish? All ethics of human actions, the human thoughts, hang upon this one idea of unselfishness. The whole idea of human life can be put into that one word, unselfishness. Why should we be unselfish? Where is the necessity, the force, the power of my being unselfish? You can yourself a rational man, a utilitarian, but if you do not show me reason for utility, I say you are irrational. Show me the reason why I should not be selfish. To ask one to be unselfish may be good as poetry, but poetry is not a reason. Show me a reason. Why shall be I unselfish? And why be good? Because Mr. and Mrs. So and so say so does not weigh with me. Where is the utility of my being unselfish? My utility is, my utility is to be selfish. If utility means the greatest amount of happiness, what is the answer? The utilitarian can never give it. The answer is that this world is only one drop in an infinity ocean, one link in an infinite chain, where it those that preached unselfishness and taught it to the human race get this idea. We know it is not instinctive. The animals which have instinct do not know it. Neither is it reason. Reasons does not know anything about these ideas. Whence then did they come? We find in studying history one fact held in common by all the great teachers of religion the world's ever had. They all claim to have got their truth from beyond, only man of them did not know where they got them from. For instance, one would say that an angel came down in the form of a human being with wings and said to him, Here, O man, this is the message. Another says that a deva, a bright being, appeared to him. A third says he dreamed this his ancestor come and told him certain things. He did not know anything beyond that, but this is common that all claim that this knowledge has come to them from beyond, not through their reasoning power. What does the science of yoga teach? It teaches that they were right in claiming all this knowledge came to them from beyond reasoning, but that it came from within themselves. The yogi teaches that the mind itself has a higher state of existence, beyond reason, a superconscious state, and when the mind gets to that higher state, then this knowledge beyond reasonings come to man. Metaphysically, the transcendental knowledge comes to that man. This stage of going beyond reasons, transcending ordinary human nature, may sometimes come by chance to a man who does not understand its science. He, as it were, stumbles upon it. When he stumbles upon it, he generally interprets it coming from outside. So this explains why an inspiration or transcendental knowledge may be the same in different countries, but in one country it seems to come through an angel, and in another through a deva, and in a third through God. What does it mean? It means that the mind bought the knowledge by its own nature, and that the finding of the knowledge was interpreted according to the belief and education of the person through whom it may come. The real fact is that these various men, as it were, stumbled upon that this subconscious state. The yogi said there is a great danger in stumbling upon this state. In a good many cases, there is a danger of the brain being deranged. And as a rule, you will find that all those men, however great they were, who had stumbled upon this superconscious state without understanding it, groped in the dark and generally had, along with their knowledge, some quaint superstition. They opened themselves to hallucinations. Muhammad claimed that the angel Gabriel came to him in a cave one day and took him into a heavenly horse, Harak, and he visited the heavens. But with all that, Muhammad spoke some wonderful truths. If you read the Quran, you find the most wonderful truth mixed with superstitions. How will you explain it? The man was inspired, no doubt, but that inspiration was stumbled upon. He was not a trained yogi and did not know the reason of what he was doing, thinking of the good Muhammad did to the world and think of the great evil that has been done through his fanaticism. Think of the millions massacred through his teachings, mother barrett of their children made orphans, whole country destroyed, million upon millions of people killed. So we see this danger by studying the lives of a great teachers like Muhammad and others. Yet we find at the same time that they were all inspired whenever a prophet got into the superconscious state by heightening his emotional nature. He brought away from it not only some truth but some fanaticism also. Some superstitions which injured the world as much as the greatness of the teaching held. To get any reason out of the mass of a incongruity we call human life. We have to transcend our reason, but we must do it scientifically, slowly, by regularly practice, and we must cast off all superstitions. We must take up the study of the superconscious state just as a study of other science. One reason we must have to lay our foundation. We must follow reasons as far as it leads. And when reason fails, reason itself will show us the way to the highest plane. When you hear a man say, I am inspired, and then talk irrationally, reject it. Why? Because these three states, instinct, reasons, and superconsciousness, or the unconscious, conscious, and superconscious state, belong to one and the same mind. They are not three mind in one man, but one state of its developed into the others. Instinct developed into reasons, and reasons into transcendental consciousness. Therefore, not one of the state contradicts the other. Real inspiration never contradicts reasons. but fulfills it. Just as you find the great prophet saying, I come into not to destroy but to fulfill. So inspiration comes to fulfill reason and is in harmony with it. All the different steps in yoga are intended to bring us scientifically to the superconscious state or samadhi. Furthermore, this is the most vital point to understand that inspiration is as much in every man's nature as it was in that of the ancient prophet. These prophets were not unique. They were men as you or I. They were great yogis. They had gained this superconsciousness, and you and I can get the same. They were not peculiar people. The very fact that one man ever reached that state proves that it is possible for every man to do so. Not only is it possible, but every man must eventually get to that state, and that is religion. Experience is the only teacher we have. We may talk and reason all our lives, but we shall not understand a word of truth. Until we experience it ourselves, we cannot hope to make a man a surgeon by simply giving him a few books. You cannot satisfy my curiosity to see a country by showing me a map. I must have actual experience. Maps can only create curiosity in us to get more perfect knowledge. Beyond that, they have no value whatever. Clinging to the books only degenerates the human mind. Was there ever a more horrible blasphemy than the statement that all knowledge of the God is confined to this or that book? How dare man call God infinite and yet try to compress him within the covers of a little book? Millions of the people have been killed because they did not believe what the book said, because they would not see all the knowledge of God within the covers of a book. Of course, this killing and murdering has gone by, but the world is still tremendously bound up in a belief in the books. In order to reach the superconscious state in a scientific manner, it is necessary to pass through the various steps of Râja-Yoga I have been teaching. After pratyahara and dharana, we come to dhyana, meditation. When the mind has been trained to remain fixed on a certain internal or external location, there comes to it power of flowing in an unbroken current, and as it were toward that point, this state is called dhyana. When one so intensified the power of dhyana as to be able to reject that external part of perception and remain meditating, only intensified the power of dhyana as to be able to reject the external part of perception and remain meditating only on the internal part. That means the state is called samadhi. The three dharana, dhyana, and samadhi together are called samyam. This is if the mind can first concentrate upon an object and then is able to continue in that concentration for a length of time, and then by continued concentration to dwell only on the internal part of the perception of which the object was the effect. Everything comes under the control of such a mind. This meditative state is the highest state of existence. So long as there is a desire, no real happiness can come. It is only the contemplative, witness like study of objects that brings to us real enjoyment and happiness. The animal has its happiness in the senses, the man in its intellects, and the God in his spiritual contemplation. It is only to the soul that has attained to this contemplative state that the world really become beautiful. To him who desires nothing and does not mix himself up with them, the manifold changes of natures are on one panorama of beauty and sublimity. These ideas have to be understood in dhyana or meditation. We hear a sound first, there is an external vibration. Second, the nerve motion that carries it into the mind. And third, the reaction from the mind, along with which flashes the knowledge of the object, which was the external cause of these different changes from the eternal vibrations to the mental reaction. These three are called in yoga sabda, artha, and janana. In the language of the physics and physiology, they are called the eternal vibration, the motion in the nerve and brain, and the mental reaction. Now, these thoughts, distinct processes, have become mixed up in such a fashion as to become quite instinctive. In fact, we cannot now perceive any of these. We only perceive their combined effect, what we call the external object. Every act of perception includes these three, and there is no reason why we should not be able to distinguish them. When by the previous preparations it becomes strong and controlled and has the power of finer perceptions, the mind should be employed in meditation. This meditation must begin with gross objects and slowly rise to finer and finer until it becomes objectless. The mind should first be employed in perceiving the external cause of sensation, then the internal motions, and then its own reactions. When it has succeeded in perceiving the external cause of sensation by themselves, the mind will acquire the power of perceiving all fine materials, existence, all fine bodies and forms. When it can succeed in perceiving the motions inside by themselves, it will gain the control of all mental waves in itself or in others even before they have translated themselves into physically energy. And when we will be able to perceive the mental reaction by itself, the yogi will acquire the knowledge of everything as every sensible object and every thought is the results of this reaction, then we will have seen the very foundation of his mind and it will be under his perfect control. Different power will come to the yogi, and if they yield to the temptation of any one of these, the road to his further progress will be barred. Such is the evil of running after enjoyment, but if he is strong enough to reject even these miraculous powers, he will attain to the goal of yoga, the complete separations of the waves in the ocean of the mind. Then the glory of the soul, undisturbed by the distraction of the mind or motions of the body, will shine its full effulgence, and the yogi will find himself as he is, as he always was, the essence of knowledge, the immortal, the all pervading. Samadhi is the property of every human being, every animal, from the lowest animal to the highest angel, sometime or other, each one will have to come to that state, and then alone will real religion begins for him. Until then, we only struggle toward that state. There is no difference now between us, those who have no religion, because we have no experience. What is concentration good for? Save to bring us to this experience. Each one of the step of attaining samadhi has been reasoned out, properly adjusted, scientifically organized, and when faithfully practiced, we surely lead us to the desired end. Then will all sorrows cease, all miseries vanish, and the seeds for actions will be burnt, and the soul will be free forever. Thank you, guys. Hope you like it.